Hello everyone, my name is Diana Andrade and I'm a visual artist from Tallinn, Estonia. And welcome to this monthly review of the artworks that I've done throughout the month of... Wait, if now is March, then it's... I didn't really prepare anything to say, but as already put the artworks here. I'm still trying to get acquainted with oil colors, since most of the time I was doing portraits. What I want to say, I don't know. I wouldn't say that I'm quite new to oils. I've already tried it, but it wasn't my primary ingredient to make an artwork. But as in art school, most of the time we're using oil colors, so I was also doing some attempts on my side, because I have this feeling that all the works that I do in the art school, because they're basically kind of guided by teachers, they're not as good as they could be if I would be painting like all by myself. But maybe I'm wrong, who knows. The portraits that I've done at home with oil colors on paper, just not to get rid of any wrecked canvases afterwards. The portraits here, it's kind of difficult to say what I think about them because they were taken from photos. So this is Zayn, no personal attachments. Actually, I wanted to practice painting smoke, because oil is supposed to be something that captures very well realistic aspects, and with pencils already it seemed to me that it was a very long affair to do, so I tried it with oils. I still don't know how I feel about oil colors, and in the last video I mentioned, in the first video I mentioned that there might be some hope for oil colors, and I still believe that, but I'm not as patient as an oil painter could be or should be. So I did this, I think, in 2 or 3 sessions. Because if you want to add something on the top of what you already did, it's either you need to use impasto technique, which will make your painting dry like forever, like this one that I did with this exact technique. Also Van Gogh used this technique. It's basically adding a thick layer of paint over another thick layer of paint, and it's very like a delicate work, and I'm not very delicate with my art. Sometimes I can be, but most of the times I'm not motivated to do so. Another one is Halsey's portrait. Big fan of Halsey, by the way. Not that anyone cares, but I think it turned out great because I love Halsey, and I don't know, this was from her last album. What else? I also did a portrait of Morgenshtern. I don't know if I can say if he's a Russian now because he doesn't live in Russia, but anyways, is a musician that's originally from Russia. So I used here acrylic markers, and I still find markers to be the fastest method to draw or to paint. I don't know if it's called a painting if you make it with markers, but perhaps it's drawing because you kind of use the drawing technique, not painting. So it seems that I'm obsessed with the time management or speed, because I'm just imagining that all the time that I could save and all the artworks that are still not done or could be done within that time, so that I enjoy making also art in a moment, but for me a moment can last for like 1 hour, 2 hour max, and then I'm already out of this moment, and then I don't want to say logic comes in, because I'm still thinking about the artwork in the moment that I'm doing it, but I'm also kind of meditating. I'm just leaving all the thoughts that I previously had behind so I could concentrate on the artwork. It doesn't free up my mind though. Maybe at some point. I mean, I would say that Pointillism works actually for that. To like literally letting go of anything and not thinking in the moment, unless I have a final idea that I want to perform. But when I started doing Pointillism, I didn't have any idea, I was just doing dots, and whatever comes within the process of making it, I would then stick to this idea. Not that I would have the initial idea and then work around it. So this was one of the oldest canvases that I had. I mean, one of the oldest. Not the old canvas, but it already had some drafts of the paint, and I couldn't figure out like what I want to do with it. It almost felt like this canvas was cursed, because whenever I painted it I didn't like it, so I was just leaving it in the corner. I thought maybe I could do something in the style of Pointillism. So first, actually, I started filling up corners with the dots of acrylic markers, and then I had an idea to experiment with very rounded brushes. It's actually the brushes that you would use for wall painting, but since I was like in this huge mall when they had everything for constructions, so I bought those brushes because they were rounded. I'm like, oh my god, I just need to try them because it'll make like almost a perfect circle. So I covered acrylic markers with bigger circles just to see what it would become of. And kind of looks like a tree to me, but still I didn't have any idea. For this one I was just doing dots, and that's it. And the fun part that happened when I was doing this painting is actually that I was having a lot of extra paint, and I'm also very economic in that sense. When I have too much of the paint left, I'm not just gonna swipe it up. So I decided to use it on the blank canvas, thinking that it could be maybe a background for another painting. But funny thing that in the end I just kept this painting and I called it like leftovers painting, which I think looks okay. I mean, it looks fun because if I compare these two works, I hope this fills in the frame. On this, as you can see, I might have spent hours, days, maybe even weeks, but I'm not sure. And this was done within like 5 to 10 minutes. And I don't know, it's just like, I think I'm also starting to love abstract art for some reason, because it lets your imagination to work. Suddenly your brain is doing interesting tricks because you start thinking of different ideas that might come from your head. I think this is the right side. Another portrait that I've done in the Estonian Arts Academy, I finally brought it home, and when I was back there painting, I thought it was like a huge canvas. But when I brought it home, and with my high ceilings, not those ceilings, it's the rooftop, so it's those are not high ceilings, but down below I have big ceilings. And when I put it on the wall, I was even thinking that maybe this is a small size. I could go even bigger, you know? I actually took all the paintings that we had within the block of the studies in the school. So this one is also part of them. So now this kind of size of canvas seems extremely small, even though before it was considered to be big. It's like 50 per 70 centimeters. And I was trying to work on my perspective skills. As you can see, those are not very developed, I would say, but teachers loved it. And there was another work that's of a bigger size, similar size, that I painted myself. I wanted to paint like this panic feeling when you're looking from down to up and you see all those big trees and you're like, oh my god, I'm stuck in the vastness, in the endless space, and I'm all alone here. I will do better next time. I don't promise anything, but I will try. Another painting on the perspective. We actually had an exercise where we needed to take something regarding the environment, maybe from the social media, some news, something, whatever. I wanted to paint a lot of signs on the pedestrian streets that our government in Estonia had installed in a very small route. There was like 12, I think, of those posts. I named it like Postitanzo Festival. It was just ridiculous. But in the end, they just took it, and I wanted to have a memory of that event that occurred, that actually the government is not giving too much of a second thought of their actions, which is true. People would just go like this to spend a lot of money on the idea that they thought was good, but when everyone else saw one person's idea, maybe there were other people involved as well, they were like, okay, if other people don't agree with that, we will take it down. But if all the media, everything, or everyone were quiet, I would guess that this would persist still, and that would have been fun to see still. The last painting from the art school. Teachers loved it, and I don't enjoy drawing objects like that don't have a story, or that I wasn't able to relate to find some story to tell about it. But it was like practicing the technique of covering the object with layers, then it's kind of destroyed it, and then we're just rebuilding the object, the covering again with layers, and you would get such an effect on this one. I think I'm gonna use it as a base for something else. Goodbye. Thank you for being there. I think that's pretty much it. Oh, I actually candidated for the exhibition of Estonian Artists Association Spring Exhibition, something like that. I mean, there's only basically one main association for artists in Estonia, and it's very monopolistic because there is also only one school of a higher education for artists, which might be the issue of a small country because all such entities are enclosed, and if you really want to get into the society, you need to push through like hell, because they normally don't take people that easily compared to, for example, France, where I lived for 5 years. I was part of like 3 different art associations just like that. I was doing exhibitions with them, and nobody cared that I was, at the time, 20 years old. Nobody cared that I was a foreigner. I was still like part of it, and they were very welcoming. But here you need to go you need to go through the 5 to 10 year of studies, higher education studies, where you might eventually have a potential to do something. But you cannot study with, like, you cannot live freely during those studies because our government doesn't pay for your studies. Well, the maximum they could pay is 50 euros, 100 euros, except for foreigners. Why I started this? Right, I applied for the exhibition. It wasn't only open for the members of the association, but also to all the Estonian artists. So I applied and I got rejected. It doesn't matter because I already knew what the reply would be. Because there are more than 200 candidates and they only take I don't know, up to 50 maybe. 50 might be the max. I don't understand art, honestly. I mean, I can understand it from one perspective, but I think the art that we have in Estonia is very one-sided because there is a similarity of the works. I'm not a good candidate to make major changes, but I just act locally and think globally. Because if you're watching this video, I'm pretty sure you don't even know what is Estonia. I'm just gonna keep on moving forward. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you soon.